Hello and welcome to Identarati Office Hours. I'm your host, Mike Schwartz, founder of Glue, and today is episode 107. The topic is Intelligent Vehicle Experience. Quick reminder to support us on LinkedIn by following us. Our guest today is Shashank Dhariwal, technical architect at Continental, a development firm focused on intelligent vehicles. Our co-guest today is Roland Baum, founder of Umbrella Associates, a boutique identity and access management consulting firm in Germany. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
And before we dive into this, maybe we could just do a quick round of intros. Roland, how did you actually find yourself in the IAM industry?
So it's a long story. It started all when I was a child in school. So I get in touch with computers and got really hooked to it. I learned programming by myself when I was like in 4th or 5th grade. Get in touch with Linux, became sort of developer and system administrators, and had the fun of my life with that. Learned a lot of technology, how networks, databases, and those stuff works, and even had the chance to learn assembler in school. But when I left school, I started to study economics and finished that. Because I wanted to talk on the other side, where not only those guys who do the technical implementation, but also decide why certain things are done in a certain way. So I wanted those tools too, and studied economics actually. So I'm a bit on both sides. I can do law here in Germany, sort of. I understand it. I can do accounting and management stuff, but I can also turn around and speak with database administrators or programming.
Cool. Thank you for the intro. Shashank, how did you find yourself
You're muted?
in intelligent vehicles? Shashank, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
So actually, things kind of started when I was pursuing masters at Southampton University in UK. So there I was exposed to biometrics, and I was really in awe of this subject because how easily it can touch the lives, and how it can make lives easier with small utilities, and all these with the recognition, etc. And so soon after that, I joined a company, IDEMIA, and with them I was working on the India's identity program called Aadhaar. So I worked there for 2 years, and after that I moved to Continental Automotive, and here actually I have been developing several technologies which I collectively called human-centered AI. So basically, things like face recognition and age estimation, emotion recognition, etc., and then developing several use cases for these, which ultimately cater towards the security, safety, and the infotainment in the car.
Let's pivot to the topic, intelligent vehicle experience, I guess wanted to start at a high level, and say, when I have a Mazda 3 which has RFID keys, and I used to have metal keys. And now when I have to change my keys, I have to make a dealer appointment, pay $500, show proof of title that I own the vehicle, and then I'll get my extra key. And I actually end up leaving my keys in the car because they're not actually connected. I forget. I leave them and then I go into my house. So I feel like the security is worse, and I'm paying, and the transaction costs are high. My first question to you is this new technology going to make my life actually better, and is it going to be more secure?
Absolutely. Actually, what we showcased at CES 2025 this year,
Hmm.
it is a shift from ownership-based access to identity-based access, where the car recognizes you, not just your key, and that identity can be updated or revoked just as easily as removing a face from a smartphone. And in this case, whether it is a rental vehicle or a fleet or a resale scenario, we are working on standardized identity handoff. So access can be revoked and or reassigned securely across ecosystems. You can say reset access plus a lightweight identity enrollment that doesn't overwhelm the next user, and the demo vehicle would even pre-screen the individual before they reach the car, like around 1 meter before that. So by the time you are in a natural stride and reach out towards the door handle, it is automatically open. And if someone isn't authorized, then it stays locked.
Hmm.
So ultimately, I would say it's not just about logging into the car anymore, but it's about creating a secure, experience from the curbside in towards the cockpit.
You know, it's a really interesting experience that you're describing. I have a number of questions, but I just want to see if Roland, if you had any questions before I asked about the security and the identity
Mm.
impacts of what you're describing. Yeah.
Well, I'm interested in the question how this works in terms of usability, because traditionally, as you said, you get a pair of keys with your car, and that's it. And as long as I know where my keys are, I know who has access to that device, because these are the only two keys. Now, when I can revoke a credential like a smartphone by myself without asking the person to return my key, I think that's a great thing. But with each feature adds more complexity to a thing, and may confuse users, maybe in their worst moments, because you may forgot that your best friend is still provisioned with a smartphone to his key, and that yes, that can be interesting in certain situations. So the point is, I think we should keep an eye on usability and support users to adapt to those new patterns, and also security implications that come with. So as a personal opinion, I think that users should still be in control of their devices when it comes to those critical aspects. And nobody wants likes the idea that a vendor or so can lock yourself out of the car for whatever reason, on the other hand.
Well, so I guess the first question is just usability. Um, I mean, okay, so the usability is better, but because you're using biometrics to identify the person, uh, how many biometrics do you need to collect to have a really good assurance that it's actually the person in front of you?
Well, in this case, for the enrollment, we just need one image, and that's it. And actually, maybe there was some kind of misinterpretation, but the recognition, the face recognition in this
Yeah.
case, that is happening not with the smartphone, but with the cameras that are used for park assist.
Hmm.
Mhm.
The 360-degree view that is created by the four cameras on each side.
Yeah.
We are what we are doing is basically reusing as many sensors already available within the car, and adding extra features with the same amount of hardware that you have already got.
Hmm. Um, okay, I wanted to pivot back to the authorization question. Let's just say, okay, I'm going to take your word for it that you know that it's me approaching the car, and that you've used a bunch of um, of sensors so that you know you're not relying on one sensor. Um, and it's not basically a deep fake, let's say, of some kind. And so now you say, okay, all we can grant the person is like complete access after that. Can I control actually? Let's say my son wants to go to the gym, and I want to authorize him to just go to the gym. But on the way back, if he's out of gas or if gas is running low, it's okay if he stops at the gas station. Um, can I express those kind of policies and how would I actually do that in these systems? What would that mean for automobile makers?
I like that use case.
Yeah. So in this case, actually, what we are doing is that at the very base, we have the biometric recognition system in here, and the owner. So basically, most of the car manufacturers now have their own mobile apps as well.
Uh-huh.
Or so with that, you can take a picture of your son, and basically that with that we will communicate this to the car, and then he has got this authentication with the car done, and whatever kind of policy or the geofencing or the time limit that you want to do, that you can basically modify through the app itself. And so when your son approaches the car, he is already recognized with the image that had been taken through your phone, and then he can use the car, drop it back, and then whether he has to go to gas station or maybe even go grab a coffee, so all of those things are still okay.
Hmm. And when you say through the app, it, I guess it seems like it's going to be like each car is going to have its own different way that it manages, how you authorize like what the vehicle can do, the geofencing policies. It seems like I don't know. It seems like it's going to be a lot of very difficult to actually do that. I know, Roland, do you have any questions about or thoughts about this authorization?
Yes, I wonder if there will be a standard in the future when intelligent vehicles become omnipresent and the standard, because I think this will lead to many interesting questions when it comes to traffic regulations. So I imagine a world in a couple of, I don't know how many years it will take, when autonomous vehicles are everywhere on the street, and we as a society realize that the humans are the actual disturbing factors in transportation. So I don't see that much thing in cars' own policies when it comes to how does the user say I want to geofence that, but on a large, much larger scale. So having policies for traffic regulations and cars that may consume this online on demand, like don't drive here, or here's a speed limit, something like that sounds really interesting in this topic. So having like a policy language for online traffic regulations.
Yeah. So and if you move up a level into the governance level, how would regulators monitor what are the security policies of vehicles? Like, what's the policy on do you hit this pedestrian or not? In 2018, Tesla in Japan struck a man directing traffic, um, and the driver of the vehicle had fallen asleep. So the question is like, who is driving the car? It's like your auto manufacturer is actually driving your car.
Mm.
But but I guess the question is like, okay, well, this is going to be built into your software. How will regulators sort of understand what are those policies that are determining these life and death decisions?
That's a really tough question.
True, true.
Any thought, Shashank?
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, kind of a very dicey question. Like where do you position yourself on this? But I mean, yeah, difficult to answer actually.
Hmm.
Um,
I think in this there is a lot of AI happening in systems with uh, um, for that situation. So I think it's and I'm not an AI expert, so I have no clue how to test and verify AI decisions and their models and policy. I have no clue for that, but I imagine that's really hard, and there will be still a probability that you're wrong and the model handles a situation in the worst case. I don't know. As I said before, on the larger scale, I think in a couple of years, we will be much more used to intelligent and autonomous cars. So in the first, I don't know, decade or so, they are still new. So like only larger companies will afford to have a fleet of autonomous cars. But then they will be more used, and there will be a point where we see that a lot of autonomous vehicles are. Oh, the greater the number of autonomous vehicles in the world, the better they will be able to integrate with each other in the traffic. So the point I'm trying to make is that one day we as a society will realize that we humans are the real disruptive factors, and yes.
Yeah, you know, I went to a South by Southwest talk maybe 2 years ago that was talking about how the roads themselves have information. Like there's a box in the second lane at this point, get
Yeah,
out of the way or whatever.
yeah.
And so not only could the cars talk with each other potentially,
Mm,
which brings up interoperability issues, but maybe the cars might be talking to the government infrastructure also. We might
for
have smart
example,
roads, and
yeah,
the smart cars connect to the smart roads and know to, I don't
yeah,
know, get
yeah,
better information.
yeah.
Um, but
Regarding to that example, and I think it's a good example because currently car manufacturers try to navigate in a world full of chaos because there are humans in that world, in that traffic, and at that moment when we try to eliminate those creating elements, pedestrians, humans driving other cars, not autonomously, traffic maybe become more secure because it's it's a service. It will become a service, and cars will communicate with each other and make the traffic more secure when humans are eliminated out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, Also, my point here is that so basically it's not just vehicle to vehicle like V2X communication, but also interacting with the government infrastructure, whether that is the cameras around over there or any other information available from some other kind of sensors. And what will happen is probably like a glimpse into the more of a agentic future, so where the car becomes kind of a digital participant in the traffic ecosystem. And getting there, it's like it will take a little bit of secure, and then it's a real time data exchange and trusted sources. And then we start to see the building blocks. So what's happening is that it is taking all these inputs from the city infrastructure and the vehicles, but also at the same time it is verifying this with its own camera and radar, lidar, etc. So thereby this particular trust can be established. And so when vehicle level intelligence like biometric recognition or intention sensing, etc. So then we start to open up new possibilities for proactive, personalized, and safer driving experience.
Um, how about disconnected use cases? You're not always what's the reliance? Not everywhere has internet access. What happens when your vehicle gets disconnected, and how does it continue to make decisions and sort of act autonomously after that? Are there any implications for the disconnected use case?
Well, in this case, I mean, if I'm talking about the biometric recognition, so in this particular case, what we are doing is that we are storing the biometric data on the car. It's stored securely with the secure limits within the car, and it does not touch the cloud. And also it's not the vehicle network is also not easily available to be connected via a wi-fi or some cables, that level of cyber security threat or ingestion attack, etc., is also thereby handled easily. So ultimately, what happens is that the data is right there, and as you are approaching the car, you are able to recognize. I mean, the car is able to recognize you, and you still get the access. And whenever the car comes in touch with the network, the personalization token can be synced, and then the personalization services within the car can be enabled.
So, are you using passkeys for this? So, is the biometric template just an unlock for access to a private key? And if that's the case, is really the all you're saying is that you're storing a local passkey? Your car's basically a YubiKey, a bio YubiKey.
Yeah, it is a kind of a bio key. We can say that.
Is it using passkeys and FIDO though? So am I creating is the template FIDO has this idea that there's a lockbox and your biometric unlocks the lockbox so you have access to do key operations. Um, and it sounds to me like you're just saying, okay, um, we have these sensors. That's the unlock portion of it, and then that unlocks private key. Is that currently the design, or is there some type of what? How do you what actually gets unlocked by the biometric? Is it a symmetric shared secret that gets unlocked, or asymmetric? And how do you present an attestation about that authentication? So if you're saying I'm a car and I want to interact with APIs, wait, let me just give this. So let's say I'm a car and I want to call some road APIs and I want to make an attestation about I authenticated this person. Um, and so I want to, you're now the authenticator, right? You're like the YubiKey. So you authenticated the person. So you need to make an attestation about that. So in that case, a FIDO attestation or a passkey attestation would tell us this is actually a device-bound key, which is good. It's not a shared key. Although I wonder if you would support shared keys, like could maybe I use my Apple as iCloud keychain as a passkey provider? Um, you see where I'm going. And is FIDO and passkeys, is that something you're even looking at?
Not so actively right now, but because we are still, kind of we are still establishing the making sure that the base technology works fine. But as we mature
Mhm.
the product, we are looking more towards the standardized practices, how to store the biometric data, and making it compliant with the FIDO alliance, and whatever kind of encryption, etc., is required. And also there are specific standards for vehicle access and their certification as well. So we will be moving towards those as well.
I would love to see that I can unlock my car with my UV key. That sounds super nerdy.
Yeah.
Well, your YubiKey is NFC, and
Yes,
it's a device-bound key.
yes.
Um, but they actually your car is a YubiKey. It is an authenticator
Mhm.
because it takes your biometric and it has some type of key storage. Maybe you could talk, Shashank, about um, it, does it have some type of secrets management like a key store like you'd find in a mobile phone? Like how does it protect private keys?
Um, so so currently we also have a product called Cosma, and that is basically giving you access via your smartphone. That is not biometrics based, but it is also with some authentication. They have basically installed a secure key in your phone, and when your phone is near the car, it is localized. Its presence is localized. Where exactly are you, how far are you from the car, and accordingly it enables the welcome sequence, like blinking of the side lights,
Yeah.
etc. And then as you approach the car, it's open, etc. So that currently is already having this kind of secure storage of passkeys, and so that's what we plan to carry forward towards the biometric access as well. So yeah, I mean, I can't share a lot of details about how we are
Mm.
managing these passkeys and how that is, basically taken care of. But yeah, this is what the technology overall is.
Mm. So I think Mike is gone, looks like.
Yeah.
I had the chance once to visit a factory in Germany where cars are manufactured, and they said that there is a typical moment in when the motor is put in the chassis, which is called a wedding or so. So there's a special device that when it's unlocked, you have a time window of like 30 minutes or so, and it has to put in the car and connect it and so on, and that's the actually motor lock. So you can't steal the car. So it's hardware based. I have no details, and I don't care.
Mm.
But what I took with me was it's a physical device that you can't remove. And I think that's a good idea for storing secrets, anyways. So
Yeah.
having it physically connected, and you would destroy it if you try to open it or remove it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I mean, we are also looking at similar stuff, like where the biometric data is really securely stored and difficult to approach.
Mhm.
I was recently discussing with my colleague from the cybersecurity domain as well, and he also mentioned that how they are making the systems really watertight, and how much difficult it is to get connected to the vehicle from outside, and
Mhm.
still, I mean, if you happen to break in and get connected to the CAN network, and still how much difficult it will be to reach the right section where this particular data lies, and still, and then decrypt it, and ingest your template
Mm.
or whatever. So it's going to be quite difficult, and
Mm.
particularly like the deep fake attacks, etc. That is a little bit difficult in this case, primarily also because here we are using the the fisheye lenses. So that particular perspective is difficult to generate, and you are also getting a lot of different kind of background behind you. So for I mean deepfake videos currently, they are generating videos like how we are seeing right now ourselves in this particular video,
Mhm.
and with only this much kind of resolution. But
Mhm.
when it comes to that much real life video, it will be difficult,
Mhm.
considering what is the latest dynamic environment near the car and all that.
Mhm. And I think also there will be a lot of data stored on the car, because they become more and more just a mobile computer. So you will have a bunch of data in rest on that device over its lifetime. And I
Yeah.
think nobody wants to find himself in a world where you can just go to the scrapyard, look for an old car, cut out the hard disk, and look at photos or memories from the last vacation of that car's owner. So it's crucial to secure this data
Right.
over the lifetime and beyond.
Right. Yeah, absolutely true. And also, checking back on what Mike was saying earlier about the communication with the infrastructure and the other cars, and what happens
Mm,
when you are, disconnected, etc. So, my thinking is that, like the car comes with a foundation or base model, but as it starts to learn about its surrounding, etc., it is gathering that data, and then over a period of time it is also self learning and improving that model. So there
mm,
is that data drifting already happening. So even if you are disconnected for some while, it's not like you are at the very base, but you are still somewhere at an improvised version of that.
mm, mm.
Guys, can you hear
And
me? Um,
yes, we can hear you.
uh, something interesting happened, which is that last night I stole my cable from my computer and plugged,
Uh-huh.
to charge my speaker. And then I ran out of power while we're in this live stream, which is something that never happened before.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and now when I plugged it in and rebooted, it's not picking up my camera, which is also really weird.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
But
pity.
I wanted to, it sort of brings up the case. What happens if my car totally loses power? Like, um, is this like a new vulnerability? Like, is the car actually better if we're like so reliant on the electronics in the computer system?
Well, in this case, actually, like I had been thinking some time back, and when it is running at really like this kind of low power or something, there can be an intelligent system which prioritizes what is the most important stuff to work, and perhaps switch off the personalization services, or other things like maybe infotainment or something.
I feel
uh,
like this is Star Trek where we're like cutting back on like which systems, like which life support systems. Like we don't need like shut up the engineering deck. That one's no one's down there anyway.
Yeah,
yeah.
but with electric cars, power management becomes more and more important. So there are companies in the industry that are specialized in power management in electric vehicles, because of the required heating. So in traditional cars, you have the engine, and in the winter, it's a source of heat, so you don't have to heat. But in an electric car, you don't have a heat source, and so even if the temperatures are not that low, people start to feel uncomfortable, and you need heat. So energy management in electric cars, I have heard, is much more complicated and a thing for range extension.
Right. I actually heard a bunch of good talks at FOSDEM about this. FOSDEM's this
Mhm,
open source conference in Belgium every
mhm.
year, Brussels, and they had a whole track on yeah, it's quite interesting. I'm actually going to cut to last thoughts a little early here because of the technical difficulties. I think this is a really interesting conversation. I had more questions for this episode than any question in episode history.
Oh,
So it's just such an interesting topic, and I think it's at the intersection of like machine to machine, machine identity, let's say, authorization, biometrics, secret storage, disconnected. It sort of touches a lot of use cases, maybe
mhm.
even wallets and presentation of identity, and has yeah, and it seems like right now it's like a very embryonic period of this, of how this technology is evolving. So you're witnessing sort of the genesis of this technology. Um,
We have
Roland,
interesting times ahead.
let me give you last thoughts first before we break. Any last thoughts, Roland?
So I'm very curious about the next decades, how transportation industry will evolve with autonomic vehicles, and what this means for our daily lives and for security, because every new feature often adds complexity, and that's where the fun for the industry begins.
And Shashank, last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, similarly for me as well, like the future seems to be quite exciting. Like, on one hand, we are all moving towards level 5 of automation for the cars, but also on the other side, I mean, the cars are becoming an extension of our homes. And there's more and more of personalization happening over there, assistive technologies for the humans driving them, till we get to the highest level of automation. From so I mean, with respect to the biometrics and identity, I think there will be a lot more of such involvement, and using the identity to uh, you know provide much better and enhanced use cases for the safety and security, even when you are outside the car, like, I mean, near the car as well, and obviously when you are inside the car as well. And I mean, things like like car sensing that you are coming towards it, and automatically opening the doors or trunks or boot, or I mean anything. And likewise, I mean, even personalizing airbags, how with how much force it deploys, etc. So that's with respect to safety. And also, like, sensing how, I mean, are you feeling all right as well or not? And if it is not based on the historic data patterns, then perhaps automatically going on autopilot and communicating the same to the nearby vehicles or hospital as well, your nearby, I mean, in your family members, etc. So
That
lot
sounds
of
a little dystopia. It's starting to sound a little dystopian. So I think we'll have to leave it there. I want to quickly announce the next episode. So next week we're off for EIC. No episodes. Um, unless David Broussard convinces me to do some like ad hoc live stream from the event, or Sebastian for that matter. And then we come back to probably the most widely referenced episode of recent history, the many faces of delegated authorization with George Fletcher and Jen Schreiber. And this is a delegation is like the holy grail of token-based access control. It's the hardest thing to do, to delegate your son's vehicle, like the right to drive somewhere in the real world. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. So thanks guys. Sorry for the technical glitch, and see you next time.
Thank you for attending to the episode. It was a quite interesting talk. Thanks for inviting me. And if you want to chat or hang out with me, just find me at the EIC in Berlin next week, or at the Identiverse in Las Vegas next month.
And also, big thanks from my side, also for whoever attended this particular recording, and also thank you for inviting me to the talk. And if anyone wants to get in touch, please feel free to approach on LinkedIn.